Well, it's the July-August vacation, and while children are home, we want to ensure their safety, particularly when it involves bodies of water such as pools and beaches. And so joining us to share some tips on how we can keep children safe is Deputy Director of Care Services at the Children's Authority, Mr. Marlon Bascom. Marlon, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, welcome back.
Yes, it's always a pleasure.
And I know this is usually your time because you have to come and, give us tips in terms of how we can keep the younger ones safe.
Yes, definitely. Unfortunately, this period is one of those periods where we see more incidents, more negative incidents, more situations of potential drownings and mishaps happening with our children. So we always want to be extra careful and remind the public, of course, child protection is everybody's business. And please be careful.
Now, before we get into the safety of it, let's go back to the Children's Authority.
Yes.
You are the Deputy Director of the Care Services.
Yes.
What is done at the Care Services?
So the Care Services team comprises of several different units, inclusive of the Investigation and Intervention Unit, our Emergency Response Team, our assessment team that runs multidisciplinary assessments on children towards providing treatment plans and so on for their care. So the Care Services team is also the foster care unit as well, and the adoption team. So Care Services is a large part of the work of the Children's Authority, and our goal is, of course, in treating with incidences of child abuse to bring back a level of normalcy to the situation, to reintegrate the child with family members where possible, to do all that we can to pull the child away from whatever incident of abuse has occurred, and so that they can get back to their lives as best as possible.
Of course.
Yes.
And in doing that, what are some of the ministries or even agencies that you partner with?
Also, when we do things directly, of course, but we also partner with different agencies. We partner very closely with the Ministry of Education and the Student Support Services Division. We partner very closely with the Children's Court as well. We partner closely with the Ministry of Social Development, particularly the National Family Services, and many other agencies in the course of doing our work. Of course, Ministry of Health as well.
Yes, of course. So, of course, the safety and health, to an extent, rests with the Care Services at the Children's Authority. Let's jump into those safety tips, and I want to focus at this time particularly on those bodies of water. It's July-August vacation, as I mentioned at the top. People want to be going to the pools, the rivers, the beaches. How do we ensure our children are safe? Let's look at the beach first, because that's a mass body of water. How can we ensure our children's safety when we take them to the beaches?
So it's really important for families to ensure that we have some sort of safety plan in every outing. So there should be one or two adults whose responsibility it is to focus on the children, not to leave the children alone, not to only have older children supervising younger children, but we must ensure that somebody's eyes is primarily focus on our children. Similar to how you might have a designated driver, have somebody designated to supervise our children when they're out on the beach. Secondly, where we are going out with multiple people or multiple children, we always believe in the buddy system near pools of water, always also make someone responsible for another. So we want to ensure that at all times, it's easy to locate everyone who is on the particular outing. Of course, where possible, those who know how to swim, pay attention to the lifeguards, have any floating devices or anything like that. And for those who, we want to enjoy ourselves, we may want to have a drink, we may be liming and so on. Please be very careful of those activities when we have children with us that we want to supervise. Yes.
While it's a large mass of water, do these tips also apply to our rivers as well?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is sometimes a river might be even more dangerous. You might not be aware of which parts may be deep. You have to be very, very careful when after rain, the river may suddenly rise and so on. We need to be aware of these things, how close we are to the rivers. Again, supervision is important. You never know when someone may slip, someone may fall into the water and disappear. We really, really have to be careful. Yes.
Let's talk about games as well, because I know that you mentioned the floating devices. Those are good. But sometimes you're on the beach, you're playing football, you're playing cricket, somebody bat the ball in the beach. Any sort of advice you can give? I mean, should you be playing by the beach in the first place?
I mean, we do it. We do it all the time, cricket, football. But this is where, again, it's very important to pay attention to the lifeguards, pay attention to any of the flags they may post on the beach, pay attention to their direction. And it's just about supervision. So if the ball goes too far, we may need to get help to secure it. Again, the person who may be the best person in the water being able to swim, that person may be the one to go. You don't want a child going there by themselves. Don't take it for granted if your child knows how to swim.
I was just
and
about to
you
ask
can
that
just leave
question as
them.
well. Yes.
Right, so
Yes.
it's something people forget. So not because, for example, my older son can swim much better than me, that doesn't mean I just leave him to go.
Yes.
Because he happens to be able to swim better than me. It's very important. In particular with the sea and the rivers, you want to ensure that the sea is not a respecter of man. Your Olympic swimming skills doesn't necessarily mean that it's safe, right? So we always want to be careful.
As they say, there are no branches in the sea, right? Nothing to hold on to.
Yes.
Let's switch gears to pools, because
Sure.
I anticipate that pools, the tips might be a bit different.
Well, the thing about pools is that it's very, very easy to become complacent. And especially again, it's the July-August vacation, persons may go to these just spots to lime to hang out, and the pool itself may be shallow. But it's very important to remember that it doesn't take much for a child to drown, especially a very young child. So even if the pool is, let's say, only 4 feet deep, it's very important, again, to ensure that the children are always supervised around that body of water. For smaller children, it's very important to give them those floating devices even as they're going in, because unlike it in the sea where there are much more persons, it may be even more easier for someone to drown in that small pool, in that body of water. It can happen in an instant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can we also talk about the open spaces? And I say that because a few months ago we lost, I think it was a 2-year-old in South when she fell in the bucket of water.
Yes.
Should we also encourage parents to cover
Definitely.
those buckets of water that we have lying around the
Definitely,
home?
those buckets, those drums to collect rainwater, any open area of water, we want to make sure that it is properly secured, properly covered, so that the children cannot easily get onto it, cannot climb onto something and get in there. Right? Again, during this period, it is sometimes easy for us, or we see an increase in incidents. So it's very important to ensure that supervision happens at all times. I know we sound paranoid,
Yes.
but we sound paranoid for a reason, because things always happen. Yes.
And in terms of the adult supervising the children, that person has to be a swimmer, or they just have to be ensuring that they keep an eye?
Yeah, the person doesn't necessarily have to be a swimmer, but yes, always keep an eye, always ensure that there has to be help somewhere nearby. So if we're on the beach, it must be a lifeguard. If we're at another a space or area, someone should be able to swim ideally, but again, there has to be those floating devices, different things that can assist you if something does happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, we spoke about it as it relates to the show, but a lot of people are also going down the islands, right?
Yes.
DDI. Any tips for those who might be transporting children on that boat, to places down the islands?
Again, life jackets would be very, very important. Paying attention to the person who is in command of the little boat or whatever we are utilizing. Again, close attention to small children, being very careful on that boat, being very careful when we come off to go to any one of the islands, and then all the beach safety tips would apply again. We just always want to be careful, just constant vigilance, for want of better words.
Of course.
Yes.
Let's switch gears to mental health awareness. I know
Sure.
July-August vacation is often known as a fun time when children can de-stress from exams, SCA, CSEC, that sort of thing.
Yes.
But how can we also ensure that we, mentally equip them, not just for the rest, but for the resumption of their school duties?
Well, the vacation period is often a good time for us to reset, and a good time sometimes for parents. Sometimes we take vacation during this period as well, to just be able to reconnect with our children, but also to observe them. So now we can maybe see a little bit better if there are changes in mood, if there are drastic changes in behavior, if the child is showing, periods of sadness or depression and so on. One thing that is very concerning that is popping up a lot is suicidal ideation. We want to take a look at that. So at this time, you want to spend that extra time just observing, interacting with your children, especially your teenage children, right? Who, as the child gets older, there's that little bit of separation between themselves and parent. So you want to be able to have that ongoing conversation with them, have that observation with them, and find out also what they need. At this time, sometimes we tend to focus on maybe somebody didn't do so well in SE
Yes.
or end of term tests. So now we want lessons, but the child may need a reset. You understand? So we want to take that time. And if you do suspect anything that is happening, you can, of course, contact the Children's Authority. You can also contact the child guidance clinics. You may even want to contact Childline, report any issues, or if you have any questions. And we should be able to answer those questions.
Yeah. Do we see a lot of, you mentioned suicide ideation, do we see a lot of self-harm during this time as well?
Yes, it's happening to a concerning degree with respect to our teenage children in particular, our young men and our young women. For various reasons, you may start to see those kind of things. Sometimes, cutting, pinching, utilizing of weapons. So it's something to definitely be on the lookout for, and you want to try to get to the roots of those things. But you don't want to, as a parent, instantly become a psychologist.
Yes.
You want to ensure to seek the necessary help. Yes.
Yeah. Let's also mention quickly as well the online sort of distractions, I would say.
Yes.
Only because online is a good outlet for them to de-stress, but there are so many external factors that can, try to change your child. And so how do we monitor the online usage now that they're home?
It's very difficult. I speak to it personally as a parent. It's very difficult. But as far as possible, you want to be aware of who your child's friends are, so that you are aware of who they may be communicating with online. You want to be very careful, not just of the different social media platforms, but even the games that allow for instant messaging during the games. Even when the child is on YouTube looking at the shorts or the reels on Instagram or Facebook, sometimes there are short messages there that may not be appropriate for your child. So it always surprises me. We are very, very careful, but my 7-year-old may suddenly look at something that is inappropriate and it's just 5 seconds long. Right, and it becomes very difficult to just block. You can't block everything, right? So again, you need to just be vigilant, and really, really important, have those conversations with your child, so that if they themselves come across something that they know you would not want them watching, they may turn away themselves. Sometimes my sons come and just show me something that concerns them. And I'm glad for it, because I simply can't see everything. Right, so it's very, very important to pay attention to that online situation. It's difficult, but it's important.
But Marlon, how did you get to that level where your son is comfortable coming to you? Because there are some children who are afraid to talk to their parents.
That's true. So that's one of the reasons we always encourage parents to have that constant communication with their children. Not in the sense as some people may be thinking, you're your child's friend, but always let them know how important it is for them to come to you, that they should not be afraid. Right? Sometimes you just want to focus on what the issue is, instead of, you might want to taper your own fear and treat with the issue, and over time your child becomes more and more comfortable. So even as they get older, you would have already established that relationship. Now, if you already have an older child, it's going to be difficult, but you want to take that time, 5 minutes every day, something to just encourage that time for reflection, that time for just conversation between parent and child. It becomes important, and it's sometimes one of the best ways to protect your child just against everything that we're seeing out here.
Marlon, can we also speak to outings as well? Because, of course, we keep saying July, August vacation, children are going out more. They may want to go with their friends to the movies and that sort of thing. At what age do you allow them to go out on their own, as opposed to you dropping them off, picking them up? Is there an arrangement that you make with another parent? Like, how do you navigate that sort of situation?
Well, it's just as you're saying, it would vary from parent to parent. So my older son is about 12. So I still drop him and go with him. I still want to ensure I know who his friends are. I engage with the parents and so on. And so we might go together, leave the children, and we on another side of the compound and so on. But you want to ensure, as far as possible, knowing who your child is with is important. So at least having a sense of who their friends are, meeting the other child's parents is important as well. And at least you should be aware of what the intended plan is. Okay, the intended plan is we go in to cinema. Right? Just in case there's an alternative plan the parents are not aware of. If something changes, both sets of parents would be aware to be able to act.
At any point in time, do you allow them to go out on their own? Let's say maybe a teenager, 17, 18, they can go and you can have that sort of relationship with them and give them that responsibility to handle their own thing.
Yes, of course, as they get older, they would have a different level of responsibility. And hopefully you would have built that relationship with them, so that as they are going up in age, 15, 16, 17, they can benefit from your level of trust in their activities as they're going, but still be aware of where they're going, who they're going with. We live in a time now where it's just very important to be as safe as possible.
And Marlon, finally, any words of advice for our young SCA students who are going on this new adventure into Form 1? I know some of them may still be anxious, a little bit, surprised, concerned, as they maybe, meet with new friends for this next 5-year to 7-year period.
First off, congratulations. Enjoy this rest period. And don't be afraid, just go forward in excitement. Take it as that new opportunity to go to that new school, that new environment, explore what the different schools have to offer. Join our extracurricular activity is something that is very, very important. Football, basketball, scouts, whatever the school has, join something.
Join something,
Yes.
do something
Yes.
outside of academics.
Yeah.
I love that. And finally, Marlon, if we need to reach out to the Children's Authority, any numbers, toll-free, stuff like that?
Sure. Our hotline numbers are 996 and 800-2014. That's 996 or 800-2014. 24/7, you can contact the Children's Authority.
Nice.
Yes.
Marlon, always a pleasure for you to join us. Thank you so much for coming in this morning, and keep doing the work that you and your team are doing at the Children's Authority.
Thank you.
And of course, that was Mr. Marlon Bascom, Deputy Director of Care Services at the Children's Authority, just giving us some tips on how we can keep our children safe for the July-August vacation. Stay with us, because up next we're talking about an international academy, so you won't want to miss that one. Stick around.
So all of my friends, them a little beach and fun.